Next up on the Run That Back podcast, we got them brothers from Boston, Roxbury to be exact. You know what I'm talking about. New edition. What album? NE Heartbreak. Let's get it. Yo, what's up? This is man Scorpio Moe.
It's C.Boogie.
And this is the Run That Back podcast. And today, we are talking about the coming to age album. It's a coming of age or to age? Coming of age album of some brothers from Boston, Roxbury, Massachusetts. This is the album. This is the one. I think they sold the most units on this one too, correct?
They did. This is their biggest album.
Biggest album to the date. Let's just get right into it. We're talking about New Edition, the NE Heartbreak album. Oh man. Now, normally you just see C.Boogie and myself, but today we have familiar faces, resident guests, and also familiar face from another episode, correct?
That is correct.
And so without further ado, first of all, it's
Christal XO.
I was gonna say that, but Christal XO in the building. and let me say this. We do a show on Wednesdays at 8 o'clock called The Dating Diaries. We also have another one on YouTube on Fridays at 10 p.m. called The Relationship Recap. Do check in for that. And once again, Christal XO in the building. What's up, Christal?
Hey, I'm happy to be here. I am excited. This was a big album, so I'm super excited to be here.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. And also, we have in the building, we came back for another episode. She came on the guy episode. Guy episode. Exactly. We have Jayme in the building.
Hey, everybody. Thank
How are
you. I am well. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you for being here. We're excited about this. I think we all are because this is a part of our youth, our lives, right? At this point, we kind of grew with these fellas, right?
That is correct.
So this one, that's what kind of makes it special. It's not like we met these guys on this album. We kind of grew up with them, I like to say. So, yeah, man, it's the NE Heartbreak album. We're just going to dive right into it, kind of explain the climate of what was going on at the time, kind of just set the tone so you know why we're speaking of the things that we're speaking of. So, go ahead. 88, what was going on at that time?
In 88, real quickly, big movies were Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Coming to America.
Big one.
The Naked Gun, which is hilarious. TV shows, Cosby Show, A Different World. Let's see what else. Pertaining to music, because we're going to jump right into this. Some number one songs from 1988. So Emotional, Whitney Houston. The Way You Make Me Feel, Michael Jackson. Father Figure, George Michael. Man in the Mirror, Michael Jackson. Get Out of My Dreams and Get Into My Car, Billy Ocean. Another Whitney Houston song, Where Do Broken Hearts Go? And finally, one of my favorites, Terrence Trent D'Arby's Wishing Well. But now, we are going to get into the album that brought us all here, the NE Heartbreak album. And as we like to start, when were you introduced to New Edition?
Had to be the 6th grade. Had to be. Because I remember doing it in the talent show. There was only 2 of us acting like 5 people. You know, and I just remember that one line, my girl's the best and that's no lie. She tells me. I still don't know why I did the whole rap.
Because there was only 2 of you.
Huh?
There was only 2 of you.
Yeah, but it's like 2 people rapping.
Well,
you know, but anyway, and none of us sang. We just lip sync. I don't know what I was doing because I can't sing or dance. But introduction, that was it. Remember hearing the single, and then finally singing the cover. A friendly fact, a friend of mine's sister, well, he became a friend later, is the girl on the album cover. As a matter of fact, she doesn't live too far from me. The original Candy Girl, by the way. That's my man Hakeem's sister. Okay. What was your introduction to NE?
Candy Girl. Thought they were the Jackson 5. Well, I didn't think they were the Jackson 5. They reminded me of the Jackson 5. But just like anybody else our age, Candy Girl was my introduction to them. Christal, what was your introduction to New Edition?
Well, I did look this up because I was thinking about this, and it was that they performed on Soul Train in 1985. And so I remember seeing them, and I wasn't really allowed to watch certain stuff, so I had to convince my mom to watch it with me so that she
You
would.
couldn't watch Soul
You had to convince your mother.
My mom, I couldn't really listen to secular music for a long time in my house. There was a lot going on.
Right.
So, but I did get a pass on New Edition because my mom thought they were good, clean boys. They all had on white, and they were singing. And I remember thinking that they were really cute, and they seemed like our age. And I think, you guys mentioned the Jackson 5. I was a big Jackson 5 fan, but that's because my mom introduced me to them. We didn't grow up with them, so I didn't really look at them as like something. It was nostalgic because of I watched the cartoon, but we didn't really grow up watching them perform. So New Edition for me was the first boy band that girls we could fall in love with. Like, I wasn't looking at the Jacksons like that. So we got to know each one of their personalities. We would know when Ralph was singing, when Bobby was singing, when Ronnie didn't sing that much, but I thought he was the cutest. So Mike just rapped. So we that's the first time we really got to know the personalities on that Cool It Now, the tape. You look in there and see each of them had a little acknowledgement. So we started to get to know them, and really they by the time NE Heartbreak came out, they had fans that were fanatics.
That's true. And you, J Soul, your introduction to NE?
You all have spoken and you've triggered some things, but I cannot necessarily pinpoint like one specific day or time period where I was like, oh, new group, whatever, because they were rolling out, and not just boy bands or boy groups, but just music in general, because that's what I did, right? But no specific time. Yeah.
Okay. But you did have a favorite.
Oh, yes, I did. It was Michael Bivins.
Interesting. You don't get a
She's the only friend that liked Mike. She had no competition. Nobody else was.
Mike, I thought, was the coolest.
He was all mine.
Okay, cool.
Nobody wanted the Mike button.
The hate. And who is the one that's still standing now that has made strides? It stayed out of the news, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Probably the richest member, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that too.
He was definitely the businessman. I'll give you that. I don't know if you had the foresight to know that then, but he definitely, was the one that was like the businessman of the group that we learned later,
Hey, he had to figure something out.
That $1.87 coming home after tour, wasn't it?
Right. So where we at with it?
So just some quick information about the Heartbreak album. It was released on June 20th of 1988. It was recorded between 1987 and 1988. It's the first album dropped by the group after Bobby Brown, one of the original members, left. It's the first album to feature Johnny Gill. The album was certified double platinum. The producers were Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. New Edition gets a credit as being producers, and Jelly Bean Johnson, who, if you're into music, should know that that's the drummer of the time. And basically 6 singles were released from the album, ranging from 1988 to 1991. And so let's get into it. So what we like to do is we start out with the singles first, and then we get into the rest of the album. So the first single that was released on June 7th of 1988 was If It Isn't Love.
Woo!
Your thoughts on that?
Here's the thing. I just think that, and ladies, chime in at any moment. I just think that, because I didn't have any prep for it. I just saw the video like everyone. I'm assuming, I didn't listen to it. I just saw it. But that was the first time I've seen people know the dance steps to a group.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen that before. Until this day, they got people that come up to him and try to learn that dance. You know, how'd y'all feel about that first single, that introduction?
The reintroduction.
I loved it. I will say it was very different because I will say, as a new addition, at that point I was a fanatic, right? Because they had 2 or 3 other albums, and I, as a fan, was really upset about Bobby leaving because Bobby brought a lot of his tone was just very unique. I was not really sure what to expect with Johnny Gill, but I remember when I first heard it, you didn't hear a lot of Johnny on that first single, which is probably good because they were trying to kind of ease, because his sound was so different than New Edition. He sounded like a grown up, and we didn't really hear him at first. But I remember being a little concerned about someone wearing stirrup pants in the video. I remember seeing that and being like, "Why does he have on?" Because that was a thing. Girls used to wear the stirrup pants. Y'all remember that? I don't know if Jayme knows. Where we wear the stirrup pants.
Michael didn't wear them. Michael didn't wear them. But
he didn't wear them. But I believe it was Ralph. And I was a little concerned.
It was definitely Ralph.
Very, very conservative times back then. So I was like, "Why does he have on stirrup pants?" And it was I mean, there was a lot. There was a lot of just, product in the hair. It was just a lot going on in that video. The sweat, you could tell they were really trying to like shake off that little boy image and really kind of step into a more sexy vibe. Brooke Payne, Ronnie's uncle, was in the video. And I remember seeing him because of course, fans know who everybody is, and that's him. And we see his name on the tape. So it definitely showed us that this album was going to be different. They were stepping up and trying to be seen as more mature. So that's probably my biggest takeaway from that video, is they looked a lot different. They didn't all have on the same thing. Usually they all had on the same thing. Right. They all had on different outfits, and it really was about their personalities more than it was being this uniform group.
I like that. I like that. Sonically, Jay, so what do you think? Were you shocked? Was it an easy transition for you to listen to, or was it just natural? How was it? Just sonically wise, hearing the record for the first time, if you recall.
The record, or we're talking about the single though, right?
Just the single, right?
Just the single. Yeah, it was different. It was different, more mature, definitely. It reminded me of, it. Not necessarily that it was a dance number, or like a record that you could just really dance to, but it had a lot of groove potential, and it made you want to do what they were doing in the video, right? It's like there were, like times where you had to, this is where we do. It's just a lot of, you knew when that came, you were doing something different or whatever. So me being, a dancer back then, I was like, oh, this is super, super cool. The music, matched what they were doing as far as their movements and things. So yeah, it was totally different sound and a very grown up sound.
Okay.
Middle, because we're going to talk about these other records that that really transformed, this group. So
yeah, I definitely think it was a good reintroduction to the group. As you guys stated, you didn't see them in matching outfits because it was a rehearsal hall vibe, them getting their stuff together for a future performance. Because if you see towards the end of the video, they all end up in the same suits running down a hall. So this was like their reintroduction to the world, them introducing you to visually seeing Johnny, but not hearing him. And I believe the single was a good reintroduction to a New Edition sound, where you got the vibe of Ralph, the New Edition sound per se, but with an updated, I wouldn't say funk, but just an updated drum track, musically still a little bit kind of teenagery, but getting into the
they straddled the fence. It felt like
it was becoming more streamlined in where they were getting ready to take you. But definitely the video aided.
That helped big time. Okay.
The second single, released on September 6th of 1988, "You're Not My Kind of Girl.
My favorite song on the album, by the way.
Now,
Really?
just real quickly, the video version is not the album version, which kind of tipped me out of it because I like the album version better than the video version. But
What?
because the drum track is different than the drum track is different from the album version. But with this particular single, you get the quintessential New Edition dance steps in a live setting. Also, this is the introduction of the group going forward as far as you get Ralph, you get the weight of Johnny's voice, and then you also get the bridge of Ricky bringing it, all three of the vocals together.
Can I say this? Christal hates the content of this record.
I don't need you to say. I can speak for myself.
Please speak so we can.
I did not like this song.
I think we're on the same page because I have.
I did not like this song. First of all, New Edition. All the songs leading up to that, Candy Girl, Cool It Now, and then Count Me Out. Those were the first singles. It was always catering to the girl. Cool It Now, you're about to lose control. Count Me Out, I want to spend some time with my girlfriend. What are you talking about, sir? You're not my kind of girl.
No.
What is happening? So I did not like this. Also, I was really, Johnny Gill's voice just to me did not fit. I was like, who is this grandfather singing with these people? Because you gotta understand. No, you as a young lady, remember, I am just coming out of middle school, okay? And Johnny sounded like the old uncle that was not cool. Like, he did not sound like the rest of the group. Bobby's tone and Ralph worked really well together. I did not. It was very shocking for the teeny bopper girls that were in love with the group to hear this sorry. I was like, what is happening? The way he did that run, I didn't like it. I didn't like that single. I didn't like the message. I never understand it. Even to this day, if she got the look, she's very pretty. The style of dress is also fresh. What is happening, sir?
Listen. This is the musical definition of my putting you in the friend zone.
There
you go, Jay.
Thank you,
There you go, Jay.
There you go. I hope you have a difference of opinion because this was about to go real left.
Thank you, Jay.
Even though I'm singing the song and I'm singing all the runs or whatever, but I'm just like, hey, what? Why are you telling me I'm all of these things and you're not my type? I'm not your type. I mean,
if I may interject real quickly, and this may be going off the rails a little bit. This is a Scorpio Moe thing. Are we upset that a young man is telling a young lady that she's all this and he's not her type when young women do that to young men all the time?
Not boy bands, no. And why did he have to say like you don't have to do all of that?
He kept picking at her. I mean,
yeah, just
sorry, you're not my kind of.
No,
you're not rubbing it in.
No, it was too much. It was too much dip on his chip.
It wasn't years later until I figured out what he was talking about. I just liked the melody and the talking part. I did not
like him saying sorry. I knew exactly what he was saying, and I checked out.
At first, I thought he was just saying, I can't message you because I got a girl. But it wasn't until years later I realized he just wasn't like
the kind of girl that every man's dreams are made of, but it's not my dream.
And then like that.
This could be that song. Hey, this could be mistaken as an LBC record. I'm just saying.
Thought about that.
I'm just saying.
I never thought about that. But see, that wasn't a thing back then. Let's keep it pure. It was very pure back then. We didn't have these conversations. Even though it was a thing, we weren't talking about it in music. But that's the first time.
Who wasn't talking about it in music?
We heard a boy band rejecting a girl. It's unheard of.
Yeah, I get that part. But just melody wise, I liked the video. They had the the what is it? Look like they were in the
Admiral suit.
right?
Cadet suit.
Cadets. That's what they look like.
I mean, you can sing it. I mean, I sing it. I know the lyrics, but I was just like, man, that's jacked up. Sorry.
See, that's what I'm saying. Johnny with that big voice, just digging it in.
I like Johnny on that. You didn't like? I like Johnny on that.
First off, you can't tell me nothing about that song. Johnny fit perfectly into how they brought him in.
But can you listen from a young woman's perspective? He sounded so much more mature. And again, as we're in 8th grade,
he's supposed to. He
sounds like a man. No, if you go back and listen to Cool It Now and Candy Girl, Johnny's voice would not have fit those records.
No, not those records, but this time they're 21, 22 years old.
They are 20,
their fans are not, though. Their fans were younger than them.
What?
No. You guys know your fans are always, the majority of your fans are always going to be younger than you, right? Because that's just how music goes. That's proven with marketing. Your fans are always younger. The girls that were screaming, crying were not in their mid-20s. They were probably looking at somebody else, probably Keith Sweat or somebody else. The girls that loved New Edition were kids. And Johnny's voice, because I remember talking with one of my girlfriends, Ebony, we lived near each other and we would listen and we were like, he sounds like a man. His voice and Ralph's voice are so different. Ralph has a chipmunk voice still. It's a little bit more mature, but he's still trying to get that young sound. Johnny's voice was just like, I'm saying from a young girl's perspective,
I got you.
It sounded like the uncle was singing.
That's a man.
The uncle from church.
Okay. Okay. You're a woman, you would know. Okay.
You're
For
right.
me, I felt like this song didn't belong on this. It was not like the other songs in this. I mean, it was the song that was most negative. It was the most negative song on this.
Oh,
Yes.
really? We will get to another one.
Yeah, we're revisiting.
So the next single that was released on December 3rd of 1988 is, you will see up here, Slow Jam Alert for you novices. A Slow Jam Alert will appear here.
No.
Can You Stand the Rain? Now, this song,
Y'all had to hate Johnny on this.
y'all had to hate him, but this is a classic song. Now, what may not be known is that although this is a love song, the song is technically about the group. Can You Stand the Rain is about the turmoils of New Edition and how everybody was a fan of them when they were in their heyday. But then once some adversities crossed, were their fans still going to be around? Was the group strong enough to sustain what occurred to them to come out of the storm? And luckily they did, and they came out with a classic.
And the video illustrates that. If you pay attention to
if you pay attention to the video, you'll see the newspaper headlines and them going through whatever they go through as a group. But this is a classic Jam & Lewis written and produced song. It gives you, it gives me like Alexander O'Neal type vibes. The harmonies are great. Again, Johnny comes in with the weight to balance out Ralph and Ricky. And yeah.
How'd you ladies feel about this one then?
I'll let Jace go first.
There you go.
I love the song, but I did not know the history behind it. That it makes sense, especially with the rest of the album. I mean, how everything kind of falls in play. But I love the album. I love the video. I mean, not the album. I love the song. Love the video. I mean, you sang it. I mean, you just it's a singable. Is that a word?
Yeah,
That hook is real catchy.
I mean, you can see it. It's a visual, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I would say I love the song. I mean, you can't. No one could not like the song. It's a beautiful, classic, just unique song. I definitely didn't think Alexander O'Neal. But
Yeah.
I did think that. But
I think
I can see it now. I can see it now, but I wasn't thinking that then. But and I also didn't think about the group. It just seemed like, at that point you're young, you're thinking it's like a love song. And it definitely matches a lot of different things. But I would say that was the first time that the New Edition sound was actually different to me at that point. At that point, New Edition was no longer defined by Candy Girl, Cool It Now. This is a more mature, melodic, grown, different. And even the artwork, we talk about the artwork on the front of the album with the guys in black suits, the car lights, looking very mature. It all kind of came together with the song. As much as I still wasn't really comfortable with Johnny's voice because I was so used to the original sound, it was just such a beautiful song, and his voice is immaculate. So I loved it. It's a beautiful record, and I think it really helped to kind of change the identity of New Edition. So you're not thinking of them anymore as these little boys. You're thinking of this real ballad that couples, grown people can actually groove to, as opposed to the kind of records that they made that were really for teenagers.
Very relatable.
I like that.
Very relatable.
I would say out of all the songs on the album, and we'll get into it, but a lot of the songs to me straddled the fence, right? But this was the song that was over the fence. Like it was no turning back. We're not kids anymore. We're not trying to be. This is all the way on the other side, and they achieved that. Sonically, obviously, visual, like it was just everything that like you said. I think for the generation even before, this was a real slow jam. It wasn't a kiddie slow jam. And like you said, if you didn't really dive into the song and know, you might think it's an actual, can you stand the rain? We're in a relationship. And I think they played on that. They knew what it was, and they know it could go either way. You see what I'm saying? Because you can't say let's get wet, but it was about the group. Right.
Wasn't that Mike that said, come on, baby, let's go get wet? Right. That was Mike's contribution, Jay.
Also a sidebar, and this is a throwback to a episode that we had. Did anyone get any Sesame Street vibes from the hook?
Thank you.
Yes.
Because me and Christal had this discussion before. Am I lying?
No, we did.
Jay Soul, I would like you to enter the chat.
I'm mouth wide open. Like, what?
We got to give her a reference point. I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay, yeah, please give me. Keep going.
Here's the reference point. Okay, so the song comes out when they say sunny days, right?
Sunny days.
That's Sesame Street.
On my way to where the air is sweet. It's on Sesame Street, so I know. Yes, and then Sunny Day, everybody loves him. Sunny, I know whoever wrote that pulled that from Sesame Street.
Thank you, Christal. Thank you. I told you.
Can we please let Jay Soul talk?
I feel like you're trying to get her DJ expertise to really weigh in on the. Come on, Jayme.
I'm not touching it. Listen.
That means you agree. We can move on.
That was Sesame Street inspired. You can't tell me.
You cannot say, Jayme, because you know how big. I'm sure whoever that generation, our generation, was raised on Sesame Street. You cannot come out and say, son, and it's the same melody.
Thank you.
Come on now. Just give it up.
Let's move on.
Hey, people that's watching this, please put in the comments, because I know I'm not crazy.
No, you're not. You're not
No,
crazy.
you're not. And
She doesn't want to admit it.
See, you never thought of that, did you? See,
I did not.
The mediator is reclaiming his time. The next single that was released, there was a video to this released on January 31st, 1989. It was Crucial. So that song, they performed it on quite a few award shows.
Yeah, no,
like on the American Music Awards, they had Rob Bass rap and they performed that song.
That was Soul Train, right?
No, it was American Music Awards.
Awards.
Yeah, it wasn't a big song. It was just released. So there was a video to it. The video was an excerpt from their NE Heartbreak tour of the song. But to me, my notes on that particular song, it was kind of like the original was like a kind of like a funky driven track to it. But I mean, it was basically all Ralph. They kind of went back to the New Edition stable, just Ralph singing on that particular song. But the remix would have more of a go-go vibe to it.
Because go-go, at that point, the butt was out. We was going through a go-go phase. But the album version, the problem, that's what I was telling you before off camera, is like, this is where they struggle to get over the fence, because unfortunately when you hear Ralph's tone so much, you go back to Cool It. It just reminds you of the old New Edition, and then musically it sounds like a band was playing it. I don't know, because they're coming from Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis coming from a band background, so these are not programmed drum but they're coming from that sound. And to me, Ralph and that sound don't necessarily mix all the way.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I don't think Ralph and that sound mixes. These guys, we're coming from an era of, like I was saying before, off camera, like Midnight Star, Atlantic Star, these guys, and then making that transition and try not to make these guys that. The biggest problem with this album and even songs like this is they're smack dead in the middle of the New Jack Swing era, and they sound like a band. That's why Bobby kicks their ass, is because they didn't update the sound. They updated their vocals and updated the writing, but the sound was older, but it was an older, dated sound. New Jack Swing came in, and they were kind of behind, and that's why they have to put out the remixes to beef it up.
Right, but like I was telling you, I believe, like I said, there was a fine line that they walked. They introduced Johnny with the first 3 singles, you know what I'm saying? So they finally got Johnny on board with Can You Stand the Rain, right? So then they're still straddling that line of, there's people that may be used to New Edition, a particular sound, so they're still slowly updating into the time with that band type of sound. So there's still a merging of the two, because like what we know New Edition to be and then what we know New Edition to become. Ladies, your input?
I just think that, like you guys are saying, it was a hard switch, because New Edition sound was really Ralph was the signature, right? So Johnny is and Bobby's tone is, to me, doper than Ralph's, but Ralph had the signature sound for the group. So, but Bobby's tone was not a contradiction. So it still could feel that way. When you have Johnny, who's now the second lead, it's confusing. So when you go back and you do a song like Crucial, I just feel like the vocals and even the content of the record didn't really mesh with how we were moving forward. So it did feel like it could have been on the Count Me Out album, right? I feel like they had a really hard time, because you don't want to bring Johnny in and make Johnny the lead. Then then it's no longer New Edition.
Yeah, right.
It's no longer New Edition. So I think that they had to kind of keep the sound so that they didn't lose the fans totally, but they didn't. Johnny's voice don't do certain things that they were. It just doesn't. It's not malleable like that. It's a big voice. It takes over. Even on his runs when he's just supporting, it's dominant. So I feel like this album, the songs, and I don't want to go ahead, but I'm just going to say, Can You Stand the Rain and Boys to Men fit. Those 2 records should have been by themselves, because they're beautiful. They're mature. Johnny's voice easily meshes with Ralph's, because you got a good mix. Everything else on the album really didn't do a good job of introducing that new sound. So I don't know if Boyz II Men was one of my favorites. It's a beautiful record. I think it was underrated, but I think that's the only other time you really saw those voices mesh in a successful way. Crucial was a loss to me.
Well, the thing about Christal is that although it was released as a single, as Mo and I have discussed on the podcast before, that song I think was just kind of like a throwaway because at this particular time, the album was already selling itself. Like those 3 singles already sold the album, so it's just like we're just going to put something out in the meantime until. J-Soul, did you have anything to say about Christal or no?
I did. I didn't like it.
That's fair.
I didn't.
And there's that.
For all of the reasons, and I just, I'm a visual person, so when I'm listening to music, I create my own video, right, or my own concert. So I'm listening, and all of a sudden you hear this guitar riff, and I'm like, oh, that's nice. They're letting the band play, and then they spin back to the mic, and then they sing another, and then the lyrics, I was like, subpar, right? Crucial love, and like I say, I mean, like. I only like 3 songs off of this album, so okay, but I'm just saying, for that reason, right? Okay. It just didn't. Maybe it fit for this album, and the other songs that I like needed to be somewhere else. So,
like I said,
okay,
yeah.
All right. So the next single that was released on June 16th of 1989. Was NE Heartbreak. Now, the single that was released is not the album version. The single that was released is a remix version. Now, mind you, the single that was put out, we are heavily into rap now. You already have, as he stated, your Big Daddy Kanes, your EPMDs, your KRS-Ones, your Slick Ricks, your Rakims, all of those people are already out now. So the single that was released is reflecting that because in the single you have Ralph saying doing it with the R. That was from Rakim. You have on Rick's part, knock him out the box, Rick. You have them cutting in, different DJs cutting in on Mike's rap. You have Ron's thing as well. Johnny starts out the song, but that's all you get from it. But I liked it because of the hip hop influences for that particular
and that's just what I'm saying. Like they went back and they made the remixes reflect the time. Mm-hmm. The album was recorded in 87. I think if they would, it's almost like the album was maybe 9 months behind of what was actually going on. So when you do the remixes and they're putting this energy in it, it reflects the time. And this was probably the video where I started to see the real number. I thought they were square dudes. I didn't know. But when I saw the video, I was like, oh, they got the bellies on. Yeah. They got I'm like, oh, they like that? I didn't know they was like that. You know what I'm saying? I did not know that they was hip like that. I didn't know anything. But when I seen that, I was like, oh, they wearing the hammer pants that was at the time, the red and the different color, one shoe, one the other. Quick note, the video was shot at Eddie Murphy's house.
Also directed by
Malcolm Jamal Warner, rest in peace to that brother. I think it's just the energy of it. I saw a different side of them that I didn't know exist. You know, they seem a lot more cooler to me. I mean, they were cool before, but this, like we said, the coming of age type thing. So
their youth was being reflected in the video.
Yeah, I was like, oh, they like pre-Belle Biv DeVoe. We saw a glimpse of it then. That's what I saw.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I was like, oh, they know what's up. That's what I felt like. I was like, okay, good. Now it made it extra cool to like them. I liked them before, but I've been running around telling people I like New Edition. But when I saw that, I was like, okay, yeah, I like New Edition too. Yeah.
Ladies,
NE Heartbreak.
I agree with Mo. That's so funny. I was just thinking that was the first glimpse of BBD because I feel like you got a chance to, because as a Ronnie fan, I was just like, he don't ever get a time to say nothing, and he had a whole rap. We got a chance to see all their personalities and a little bit better, and them as I mean, just more personable. Because before, when you see them, they're all in a synchronized group. You don't really get a chance to get to see their personalities. You saw Mike's personality, like you saw that he was a cool one.
Right.
You know, Ralph was more the sensitive, or not necessarily, but more sensitive than maybe John, than the other ones. And then Johnny, again, I don't feel like Johnny's voice matched that record. Like, gotta be where everybody. I don't like it. I didn't like it.
I can give you that one.
I just felt like it didn't quite match. It didn't make it bad, but it could have been left off. I know they wanted to include him because they're trying to push this new sound, but I could have done without Johnny's very church-like vocals on that record because it was more hip hop. And interestingly though, it's funny because things were very different back then. So I guess they're in their early 20s. Now we go through this time where we're talking about people with younger women and hearing that.
I was going to get there, but go ahead.
Hearing the younger Heartbreak. She was only 13. Her daddy was the driver of the limousine. It was a young girl Heartbreak. I was like, that song would have been in trouble in today's culture because that would have definitely been frowned upon. That also was real, but it's just so funny how back then nobody blinked an eye, but now it would have been like, oh my God, Me Too men would have been all over for that. But that also was the culture.
Damn, I didn't even think about that. Good point. Damn.
Jay, so
It was a skipper for me. So next.
Call yourself a DJ?
Oh,
Next.
Oh, shots fired.
Woo! Good Lord.
Jesus Christ.
There's that cash machine.
You didn't like the video either?
Skip it.
Ah, damn it, man.
Jesus Christ. The last single for the album's campaign, Boys to Men.
Let's talk about it.
Okay.
Let her go first. Since she wanted to
go.
just itch on our parade with this last one. You kick it off, Jay. So
Yes,
come on with Boys to Men.
Growing up can be a pain.
Okay.
Yes. This was my favorite.
Okay.
It was my favorite. The maturity, you could, and like I said earlier, I'm a visual person, so I can see the pain, the triumph, all of those things within this song. Everybody fit. Johnny was absolutely fabulous in this. I wanted to be a part of, the entourage. I wanted to.
Okay.
It was the song. It was singable, right? It was relatable. It had all the components that you needed to be I'm going to say a ballad, but just a song to just say that this, we've made it. We've had some trials, we had some tribulations, and this is what made us who we are, and even as, somebody who is, outside of the music industry, and you're thinking about like growing up, and making good decisions and things. This is your anthem, right? Of becoming, right? So yeah, that is why it is one of my favorites, because I mean, it almost gives you a teardrop. I mean, like, you almost want to cry about it, because you thinking like, man, yesterday I was doing this bullshit, and then. Today, I've learned from all the things that I did that was so silly, and now I'm able to walk upright and move forward. So yeah, that's
okay. Christal XO.
I love this. It's my second favorite. Obviously, Can You Stand the Rain is my favorite, but it definitely is a close second. I think, listening to what Jay Soul said, it evokes emotion, more emotion than Can You Stand the Rain. Like, you feel it. You feel that record. I know that there's a friend of ours in Tulsa that actually walked out to his wedding to that song. I don't know if I would have suggested that for a groom, but I do feel like men got it, and it almost like one of those songs that represents all those coming of age movies from Boys in the Hood. Like it just really tells that story of a young black man growing up, you know, and becoming a man, and some of the pain and some of the things that you deal with. So and it's beautifully done. Just I don't understand how to say it, but I just know that it was produced beautifully. I think Johnny, you know, his voice was the lead on that, and it's just a beautiful record. I think it's really underrated. Now, when people talk about New Edition, they talk about Can You Stand the Rain and some of the other songs, but I really think that song is probably their biggest underrated record because it's a beautifully done. It's just beautifully done.
I like that. Yeah. No, I feel the same way. I think this song is the perfect blend of Johnny and Ralph. I think this song is the perfect blend of those brothers. Like you said, coming of age song. At first, I did the more I got into it, the more I listened to it, it was like, and this is the song that Boyz II Men sung for Michael Bivins. And this is the song that grabbed them. When they met him outside the tour bus, sung the song. This was the song that they sung. No. Because he was like, what's the name of Boy? No, it might have been, but he said the name of the group was Boyz II Men. That's what it was. But it was Can You Stand? That's what it was. My bad.
Yikes.
That's what it was. I knew it had something to do with Boyz II Men, the name. And that's when he smiled and was like, he liked that. But to me, this was the best. If anybody doubted the voice or the contrast between Johnny and Ralph, when you hear this song, there's no doubt that chemistry works. That could work. That, to me, of all the songs that they sung together, this is the best demonstration of their voices together. And Johnny starts off the lead.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically it's what I call Johnny's coming out party. It's basically his.
No pun intended.
I'm just
hey, somebody could take that the wrong way. I'm just saying.
This is a music podcast.
Somebody could take that the wrong way.
It's basically let me rephrase that. It's Johnny's coming out party.
And he says it again.
It's basically him and Jayme and Lewis giving him a platform to be like, I'm in the group now. This is my contribution to the group, and this is what it is from here on out. So if you had any doubts about us sounding old or not old enough anymore, we're mature now. This is us as men, not as teenagers or little kids anymore.
They couldn't have done this record without him.
Oh, definitely. It definitely couldn't have been done without him. So now we are going to get into the remaining tracks on the album.
I don't think we should.
The first song.
This is the speed round at this point.
This is the speed round at the point. The intro. This is just them talking. This is where you get them letting you know that they've grown up. And this is all five of them just speaking, whatever. The next song, That's the Way We're Living. In my opinion, it's an updated New Edition sound with a hint of the time. It's also your introduction to Johnny being in the group. Do you guys have any perspective on that?
No.
All right. The next song, Where It All Started From. This is a subtle shot at Maurice Starr and New Kids on the Block and other male groups that are coming up, letting them know that we're the originators of this, and this is basically where you got the format of your group from. Any perspective on that, ladies?
I did think that was cool. As like I said, I was a big New Edition stan, so you know they talked a little smack, but when Ralph talks smack, it doesn't sound like it because it's almost in a whisper. It's like a kitty whisper, so it just didn't really sound that way. But I think that was necessary because there were a lot of white bands trying to come and do what they did, trying to take that formula. So I wasn't mad. I didn't necessarily. Whenever I listen to the album, I would sometimes skip that one, sometimes not. Depends on if I was in an irritated mood, but sometimes I let that one play. Because you remember we had to start and stop with the tape. You had to guesstimate the length, so I would not always start and stop with that one.
J Soul.
Next.
All right. The next thing is a skit talking about girls leading up to NE Heartbreak, what we already discussed. We've already discussed Crucial. The next one is a skit joking about Mike's trying to sound like Michael Jackson, which leads into So You're Not My Kind of Girl, we've already discussed. The next song, which was only on the CD, but Apple Music has it on their list, called Super Lady. I happen to find this to be an underrated cut. Gives me Alexander O'Neal vibes. Any perspective, ladies? If you heard that song or not?
Yeah, I mean, I listened to it. It's okay. Sorry.
We know Likey.
I didn't like it.
All right. Of course, we already discussed Can You Stand the Rain? The next song is one of the songs I just deemed ultimate trash. It's competition. It's basically Ralph wrote this song talking about Bobby's departure from the group. I thought it was hot trash. Next. All right, the silence speaks volumes. The next song is a skit about them getting done with the show. And slow jam tape alert here. If you're a real slow jam aficionado, I'm Coming Home. Underrated slow jam about coming off the road. I thoroughly enjoy this song. Ladies?
I like the song. I do want to point out that J Soul's crush has a grammatical issue when he says, come on, pick up it. I don't know why they left that on there. It bothers me. Also, the woman's voice sounds very mature. It sounded more mature than him. It sounded like a 40-something-year-old woman saying, "Am I home right now?" I was like, "Who is this lady? Who is this grown ma'am?"
I thought the same. I ain't gonna hold you.
Yeah, she sounded really old. And at the end, she said, I guess she's listening on the answering machine, and she says, "I love you too." But this is one of those times where they let Mike talk because I guess he had the more cool voice. But I did like the record. You know, again, as a fan, you're thinking of all new additions on the road. I'm so sad. He's sad that he's out there and he wants to come home. I mean, I definitely would listen to that that record a lot. But I don't think it can stand up sonically against those other three, but it's a cool album cut.
I thought it was overrated.
Well, it wasn't rated at all, so.
No, I'm saying overrated to Corey's opinion. I think that's overrated. It's not that for me anyway. It's not that.
You didn't like your man's. Come on, but pick up it.
No, the woman threw me off.
Our voice was really mature.
Yeah, the woman, she didn't sound like she was my age.
She was not a candy girl.
I wasn't into older women yet.
She was a mature woman.
Sound like she had old hands. Listen, what's the next song?
The next song we've already discussed, Boys to Men. So now comes the part of the program where we discuss our pros, cons, and conclusions. We will start with the ladies first. J Soul, your pros from the album.
Boys to Men.
Cons.
No, not yet.
She said she liked 3.
No, we were gonna go through all of them while we got everybody there. Go through. Okay.
Okay. So Boys to Men, Can You Stand the Rain? And well, if it isn't love. Now, You're Not My Kind of Girl I sing it. And I don't like the message. And maybe I'm triggered by it. Maybe I'm having some traumatic remembrances. Maybe I feel like.
Are you thinking about a young J Soul instead of a grown J Soul?
That man has moved on. That young man, and so have you. It's okay.
And has
That boy dipped his
you
nose
know.
and played
You
out
know,
the playground now. It's
But
over.
even now, you think, you know, you just like, you know, yeah, you're so cool. You're just a great, you know, men do that all the time. And you said that women do that, but men do it more so because they're looking for the next hot
That
young
young man
thing.
is on Facebook right now. He ain't shit. You can go. It's all right.
So I have four. Those are my cons. And those four songs do not belong on this album. They are two separate albums. These are two separate albums. So that is my.
And your conclusion, what would you give NE Heartbreak out of 10?
5.
Woo! Woo! Christal?
Whoa. First of all, I would just like to say that as a fan, I had the expanded version, and there were a lot more misses on that. It was a lot of misses on the expanded version, versions of the other songs. Crucial, there was another. It was just a lot. It was a lot bad on the expanded version. But I just also feel like I have to give some credit to the re-imaging and the marketing of the album, because I think they did a great job of that. So I want to have a little grace for them there. I'm gonna say that, If It Isn't Love, I'm gonna take NE Heartbreak. I'm gonna take it. Because I feel like it might not have been a great record, but it was great because back then we did listen to album fillers, and it did give personality to the guys, because then they became the guys that other guys thought were cool, like Mo said, as opposed to just the guys that were always singing about "I want to be with my girlfriend." So I'm gonna give them NE Heartbreak. Sorry You're Not My Kind of Girl even speaks more to that, because it's like, oh, we don't just like the girls, we're also dissing them. So I think it really grew them up in a way that took them out of just being the super cheesy, girl friendly only, group, and made them a kind of a crossover with guys. And then two, having those adult ballads, the two adult ballads to me, Can You Stand the Rain and Boys to Men, they probably were able to increase their audience because you had people listening to those records. Can You Stand the Rain was on urban radio forever. And it definitely expanded their demographic outside of just the younger people. So I don't know how long that record stayed on the charts, but I do remember it being in rotation and even making it over to the pop station, which means that was a really big change for their career. So, and then also you got to understand that this could have been a huge fail because Bobby was a big part of the persona of the group. So I'm going to give NE Heartbreak an 8 because I feel like it was very, it helped New Edition get to the point where they could be legends today. If they didn't have NE Heartbreak and they didn't have that huge record that will always be huge, Can You Stand the Rain, they would not be the legends they are today. Their music might not have transcended, time without Can You Stand the Rain. Because I don't think people, when you think of New Edition, you think of the songs that you really could put on and listen to now. Those two are probably the only records. You're not going to just put on Cool It Now. You may if you're being nostalgic, but if you just want to listen to some love ballads, you're not going to put on anything else besides those two. So I think I'm going to give it an 8. I also think that it showed that the group had legs without Bobby, even though Bobby's second album killed this. His first album did not, but it allowed them to remain relevant where it could have went the other way. And then also, even though Bobby's Johnny is a part of the group in as far as like with performances, without those two records, he's totally irrelevant to the sound. So I think it also allows that to make sense, outside of that, I think that they were kind of lazy with the production because they had these monster records, but then they also allowed a lot of fluff in between. And I mean, that's probably not, that was very normal for that time. Like we would have like, you know, for them to have 6 singles, that's a win. You know, the album fillers were not always great. So I'm going to give it an 8. And I think it was a pivotal album, not just for New Edition, but also for R&B.
You said 6 singles, but successful singles though?
Not crucial. Not crucial. I don't know what Sorry did because I hated it. And I agree with you. It's triggering. Even to this day, if something happens, I hear, I hear it in my head. I don't like it. But I think that, so that would be, so I would say If It Isn't Love, Can You Stand the Rain, Boys to Men, NE Heartbreak, because I also think NE Heartbreak kind of allowed BBD to be in existence, because otherwise nobody was going to think that that gave them some shoots, like, you know, Ralph, I mean, Ronnie, Ricky, and Mike didn't come alive until songs like that. Like they just didn't. So I think that song was a great bridge to being able to see these personalities, because BBD was more about personalities and New Jack Swing than it was about lyrical vocal ability. So I think that was the birth of that there. So yeah, I think it's a strong 8.
Strong.
Yes, a J Soul, I do.
I would go the pros. The pros are the singles other than Crucial. Just the singles. The rest of the album didn't fit, but the singles and the visuals along with Crucial, especially NE Heartbreak and If It Isn't Love, and every, you know, just the sandwich in between. We got to see a little bit more of them. I think if the album were done all in 88, we would have had a different album. Had Bobby went first, we would have had a totally different album. You know what I'm saying? The time it changed. I just think it was all about Jimmy Jam. Jimmy Jam was coming off of Janet Jackson's, and then it was Rhythm Nation. So, but had Teddy come out, that whole New Edition album would have been New Jack Swing. We would have saw a different New Edition. And there's probably a reason why we didn't get that. I think that part of the album, so the pros were the singles. The con was a lot of the album struggled to get over the fence. Content-wise, he was, you know, and sonically, the album fillers, and that's why they were album fillers, were a struggle between sonically sounding like them old bands, and the writing, it didn't cut it. It wasn't hip enough. The audience grew a little bit, you know. It grew a little bit. You know, you can't come back behind Guy and then do that. That's why the remixes were. That's why it was so many remixes for these songs, and the album versions didn't make it a lot of times because it was like we got to put a little oomph into it. If they did too much, they would have to change the song totally. They did just enough, but to me, they barely made it because Bobby came in and kicked ass.
Can I say, I was just going to say that Bobby came out, Bobby's sophomore album. So realize New Edition was struggling because Bobby had left and he had put out one album. And even though that album did not do great, he did have a monster single off of it, which was Girlfriend, right? And then Don't Be Cruel came out in 1988. And so when you compare those two albums, Bobby didn't really have any album fillers. Like that's a crazy,
that's what I'm talking about.
And I think it really, because I think before that, people might have thought that they were all equal. Ralph and Bobby were equal. And even more so, Ralph had more love because he was a signature sound. But I think when Bobby left and he was able to really get his off and really just walk into the sound that was fit for him with New Jack Swing, it showed who was the bigger star. Like they were a star as a group, but he was a star as an individual. And I also want to say I learned because a friend of mine was a good friend of Ralph's. And so he would tell me, you know, a little intel when I got here and became a publicist. And that is that Ralph wanted to go that route, right? So Ralph wanted to do his solo album, and he did not like being the cutesy person and wanted to come off with something that was more more grown. As most child stars, they always want to get, show that they're grown up. But when they heard Bobby got it first and was able to pull it off, and he says, he's a friend of Ralph's. He's like, I think that if Ralph had been able to do it, he would have been able to pull it off. I don't think Ralph could have pulled that off. Bobby was just a bigger star, and it really, his album eclipsed theirs. It was good for the fans because we saw both of them being successful. But if you're talking about pound for pound, the biggest, the culturally impactful, it definitely was Bobby. And I also want to say before we close out with this album, Bobby had a single on the Ghostbusters soundtrack that was huge, which is crazy that you would have a single called the Ghostbusters and it would be a huge hit. That's crazy that we were jamming to that. But also on the extended version of NE Heartbreak, there was a record on the Ghostbusters album that you all have never heard. So New Edition was trying, they were struggling. So knowing the struggle of them trying to keep up and trying not to have a total loss on the group with what was going on with Bobby. I mean, Bobby's first single, second single went crazy. Ralph was trying to be like the My Prerogative lane, and that just to me never was going to work for him. But I feel like that one person that they had kind of put as a second man out, maybe the group should have been managed differently because Bobby was obviously the bigger star.
That's what I was gonna ask you all your opinion about that, because when they did break and BBD had a huge album too. I mean, they had a great album. So was it, in your opinion, was it the management that said we need to go in this direction and stifle them? Because I mean, like obviously when they broke up, I mean their sounds were different and successful apart.
Your point, Jay, that Ralph's sensitivity was not bigger than BBD.
No,
BBD was big,
right,
huge.
Okay, so let me get my pros, cons, and conclusions.
Sorry.
Oh, an 8, by the way. 8. I do an 8 as well. Good.
Pros, the singles. My cons are a couple songs that competition, and that's the way we're living. I agree with Christal. I give it an 8 out of 10. I think getting into the conversation that you were about to get into, I don't think Ralph could have pulled off a Bobby Brown, number one, because his voice, as we've talked before, his voice has been the voice of a generation. We've grown up listening to him be the voice of a group, and him being solo just wouldn't have worked no matter how he tried to pump it up, because
he was already solo.
Because if you think about it, he was the worst selling out of everybody in the group. He just did what the New Edition, with the NE Heartbreak album did. Johnny did more than this. BBD on their debut did 4 million. Bobby sold 12, but that was his second album, not his first.
Yeah.
So really, it's not even, and also with timing is everything.
That's the big part.
I think the thing is, you say that New Edition struggled, but they didn't. They actually led the way because Bobby opened up for them on the NE Heartbreak tour.
But by the time the
tour ended and it was time for Bobby to go on his own, he had his own successful headlining tour. So it's all about timing. I don't think New Edition struggled. The only thing that they struggled with was getting the album out and them becoming who they were meant to be. Now, as far as the songs, they came back around because the sound at the time, like you said, the New Jack Swing, the hip hop, all that stuff, their singles came back, the remixes came back a little bit harder than what the original album versions did. But I don't think Ralph could have done anything like what Bobby did.
The content of the music had changed by the time Ralph's part came around. If Ralph was older, he could have pulled it off. He could have pulled the baby face off. But he was young enough, but just sonically, like you said, he was a voice of a generation that grew up. But his music didn't, in a sense. And he got killed by his own group. By this time,
too smooth.
by this time, they smacking up, flipping, rubbing it down. He was talking about the music had changed. What we were talking about changed, and he didn't keep up with it. And that's not really his fault. Coming from him and doing all those New Edition songs, it would have felt funny. We never heard the other guys' voices or opinions. By the time we did, the music had changed. It became more progressive, aggressive, assertive, and that was just never him.
Yeah, him and his own group kind of aged out of R&B because New Edition was all about suits and movements and synchronization. BBD came along, they're in street clothes dancing hip hop, and he's dropping sensitivity in a suit and an open shirt. Nobody wants to see that shit.
Not from his generation.
Yeah, you're right.
Also, I think Sensitivity could have went on a New Edition album. I think Sensitivity could have been on the next New Edition album.
No.
He was ever been way too late.
He what?
No, not at all. Music.
I'm just saying. I think the song doesn't sound different than a New Edition record. BBD was totally different than New Edition. Bobby was totally different. Bobby was a rock star. Bobby was an R&B rock star.
Right.
He was totally different. But I think since you need a man with sensitivity, that meshes more in with Cool It Now, and that's the progression of that.
It does, but I don't think they could used it, but for another New Edition. But I see what you're saying. It does fit more of what New Edition would have done.
What they would have been about. I'm saying what they would have been about.
I get what you're trying to say, but I just feel like the time it changed, and you could say things you couldn't say. You gotta remember when Ralph was doing that, it was "I Want to Sex You Up" was out. You know what I mean? Which was
his
the same.
Voice don't sound like his voice. Some of it is just that's not for you. Bobby's tone is rough, is more raw, and Johnny has a more. So Johnny had the rub you the right way, and my. Those are grown, sexy songs. Ralph's voice doesn't lend to that type of vibe to me.
It's like Babyface singing an aggressive record.
That's why he wrote My Mind.
He tried it.
No, but that's why he wrote Bobby stuff, a lot of Bobby stuff, and that's the reason. But the stuff that was written for Bobby from Teddy wouldn't have worked for Baby. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. They got it right.
Like I said, Ralph's. I think Ralph was delusional.
Ralph was 2 years too late.
But according to this insider, Ralph wanted to put it out before. Didn't take the chance because he didn't want to mess up the group he missed out and that put him behind. But he had a whole album done that they said was more in that lane, and he didn't do it because of the loyalty to the group, and ultimately that killed him. I think even if he had to put it out, it wouldn't have worked because
they
Bobby
talked about it in the movie. They talked about it in the movie. Remember, he was playing that song for him. And they were like, what is this shit?
And that's how I feel. What is this shit? Because Ralph, like I said, Ralph's voice is a one for a generation. All we know about Ralph is New Edition. And then when he went solo, Sensitivity was cool. Stone Cold Gentleman was cool. Do What I Gotta Do was cool. He got those three singles, and he don't.
I'm not gonna go with the Stone Cold Gentleman.
The best song he had.
I'm off. I'm not going with the Stone Cold Gentleman.
The Mo Money soundtrack.
Wow.
I ain't like Stone Cold Gentleman. Wow. I ain't like that neither.
Nah, bro. Sensitivity, that's all I'm gonna give you.
You don't like Do What I Gotta Do?
I'll give you 1.5.
Like record.
I didn't say it did. I'm not saying it doesn't, but what I'm saying is that was a good song.
But my thing is we already had 5 New Edition records already.
But what I'm saying is those 3 singles is all he got. That's all he gave. After that, there was nothing else to give.
Guess what? Solo wise, I'm trying because I did see him with what's the name? I'm trying to remember what his set was. Because it was boring. His whole album, all the New Edition albums were his solo albums. Shit. We tired.
Stone Cold Gentleman, I'm not gonna give you that. I'm gonna say 2 singles. Do What I Gotta Do and Sensitivity.
I like that.
That's it.
And I stopped at NE Heartbreak.
Money can't buy love.
I didn't want to listen to any more New Edition albums after that.
I didn't either. I never did. A Homecoming. I know they signed a Bad Boy. I didn't want to hear none of it. I'm over it. I'm done.
Boyz II Men was the end.
No, I don't like that. I did like that other one with Bobby singing, they dancing on the rooftop. I did like that one. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was John Rule.
No, there's another one where they singing. Bobby's doing
Hit Me Off.
No, it's another one.
Oh, no.
No, not Hit Me Off.
That's it, right?
Yeah, that's a no.
I'll do it wrong.
Oh, you talking about the one with Missy Elliott wrote?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fire. I ain't gonna hold you.
What's
You don't
fire?
have- you don't have
What's
to
the
worry.
name of
Yeah,
that?
you don't have to worry. Bobby kills that.
The Home Alone album. I mean, the Home Again album.
Bobby kills that. Yeah, I mean, I feel you.
Anyway, so
That's it, man.
that's it. We'd like to thank the ladies for their perspective, opinions,
Yes.
comments.
Yes.
Please, ladies, let them know where they can find you at.
Yes, Christal.
You can find me on YouTube at From Christal XO. As Mo said, we do dating diaries on Wednesdays. We do relationship recap on Fridays.
What you do on Mondays?
I do Grace and Gossip on Monday, and then also reviews of King's Court and Heart and Hustle, which is new shows on. So I do gossip and I do reviews. You can check out, if you subscribe, you'll get a notification whenever I'm doing
All
anything.
that'll be under there.
Yep. And if you can also follow me on Instagram at The Real Christal Jordan.
There you go.
J Soul, where are you doing
Real,
cool
real,
shit?
real simple, just Instagram, DJ J Soul, SOULE.
All right.
If you're lucky enough to be in the Tulsa region, you may
There
get
you
a chance to hear her on the ones and twos. You know, get a chance to hear her performing.
Thanks for that, friend.
No problem. Do you scratch in your?
I do not, and I don't want these gentlemen to say, "Oh, and you're a DJ." We'll talk offline about that because, yeah.
Who was going to say anything about that?
Come on. Where we find you at?
Where we find you at?
Bring along.
Instagram, you can find the Run That Back podcast. On Twitter /X, you can find the Run That Back pod.
It is
on
on X.
TikTok, you can go to the Run That Back podcast one. You can come to YouTube to find us here. With that being said, that is.
First of all, I'm Scorpio Moe. You can also find me on Instagram, possibly with Baby Mama House, all kind of places. You just never know. You never know why I might be doing. No, but I'm Scorpio Moe. And this is the Run That Back podcast. Thank you, ladies.